This program was produced by and first broadcast on Radio Hawke's Bay, your community access media station. Thanks to New Zealand On Air for making this type of programming possible.
I'm a dreamer of 3D pictures. I'm a traveller.
Good afternoon, Radio Hawke's Bay listeners. It's Nikki Mountain here, and I'm delighted to welcome you to another edition of Dyslexia Unpuzzled, our monthly podcast broadcasting on Radio Hawke's Bay, 104.7 FM and 1431 AM. We offer insights into the mysteries of neurodivergent thinking and other learning challenges to educate and support you awesome parents and caregivers out there. This month I have the pleasure of welcoming Naomi Connolly from Paraparaumu College on the beautiful Kapiti Coast. Naomi is a colleague and fellow facilitator, but also wears several other hats. A big welcome, Naomi.
Thank you, Nikki.
Lovely to see you and chat with you again. Yeah.
Got there finally, didn't we?
Yeah, we did indeed. Naomi, can you please tell us more about your role at Paraparaumu College?
Well, what I do is I make sure that there's an easy transition from primary school through to the high school. So they run the Davis Dyslexia program at one of our main feeder schools, which is Kenna Primary School. So we have lots of students that come to our college already with the tools and the Davis knowledge, and I am someone that just makes sure that they are coping well at college, and sometimes I finish off the trigger words with them if they haven't finished the trigger words. I go and make sure they're still using their tools, and then I also run some individual programs with students that most need it from high school, ones that haven't had any previous intervention. So I'm also the head of languages, so I can only do a very limited number of new programs a year, but it's kind of morphed into this role where alternatives strategies haven't worked. So there's always so many students that we just don't know what to do with them. And I've become kind of that person that can give them an alternative means of coping with their dyslexia or ADHD, or, getting them to school. Yeah.
What a very big role it is. So there'll be a lot of students, I'm sure, that you would have coming through your school that need your support.
Yeah, so there's so many people that, just have not, traditional schooling has not worked for them because they just don't tick those boxes. So, and there's more and more people that just, that Davis, I think, really works for, because it's just so completely different to anything they've ever done before. And I particularly enjoyed this year working with students with ADHD, because there is no, as far as I know, there is no program for students with ADHD in New Zealand. And, teachers and parents, have very little support or knowledge about what to do with kids with ADHD, because they, it's such a sort of new thing, really. So that's something that I really enjoyed doing this year is the ADHD and ADD program for students, just helping them understand better who they are as a person, and often just having someone that gets them. It's kind of like counselling, really, where previously they've been labelled naughty or disengaged, and then I come at them from a completely different angle, and it can be life-changing for some of them.
I imagine it can be too. So lucky for people in your region to have that level of support. Excuse me, I'm not sure what's happened to my voice here. Here we go. Naomi, could you tell us, please, a bit about the level of support you've received from school principals and educators for the work that you're doing?
Well, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for the principals that I've worked under. Craig Steed, our previous principal, was a great role model in that he listened to my beliefs and my passion, and he had the confidence to invest heavily, really, in training me So he's really helped me. And then my current principal, Mark Robinson, has been equally supportive. And also I found it's been great working with the primary schools because Bruce McDonald, who's very supportive of Davis from Kenna School, he is, he's really appreciative of the work that I do here, and he has helped support me with students coming up from the primary school. And I'm also currently doing a role under a Kahui Ako role, which is initiative in which the whole area works together, primary schools and secondary schools. And part of that role there is I'm provided with support and, network opportunities between the primary and the secondary schools. And, one of the things I love doing is this time of year is going to the primary school and meeting those kids that are super anxious about coming to college, and just, have a chat to them, and they just let me, I reassure them that I'm someone that understands their learning needs, and I will fight for them when they're here, and I'll be their point of contact. And often that's all I need to do. And then once they're in college, they're taken under the wing of our other leaders, our Senko and our TLBs and our specialist dyslexia teachers, and often they just need the reassurance that I'm there and I understand them. Yeah,
that's amazing. And my next question is, what kind of an impact does that support have on children's progress and engagement, either with the program or just transitioning into school?
Yeah, well, some kids I really don't, because they've done the program at the primary school, I really don't see them that much. They're basically self-managing, and that's why I love that program, because actually those kids are okay. It's the ones that haven't done the program or the new ones that I'm working with where I see the biggest impact. I'm currently working with a student who has, is a truant and does not come to school. And, sometimes you wonder, am I really making a difference? And then on Friday, one of our deputy principals said, "Oh, thanks so much for the work you're doing with this student. She has not been at school for the whole of this term, and she's come every single day to work with me."
Wow.
And I'd love to work. It's just that. That's a huge impact. Just getting kids to school and just knowing that there's someone there that gets them has a huge impact.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So,
and also the parents as well. Like, the parents are equally grateful because as a parent of a neurodiverse child, your life is fraught with worry and anxiety about will my child survive in college? Because particularly in primary school, they get lots of support with one teacher, but when they're going from teacher to teacher, so it's reassuring for them to know that I can be a port of call. And another success I had this year was a child who's autistic and ADHD, and he'd come to me already with the tools from Janet Perry Hunter. So she runs the program at Kenna. She is amazing, and he came already very self-managing and was very anxious, and I met with him once a week just to give him support really in all aspects of his life, relationships, literacy, everything really. And now he's just naturally stopped coming and stopped using the whole school systems, which to me is a massive success because it shows that he's transitioned. He doesn't need my support anymore, and
that's an
incredible achievement. Yeah.
So I just want to rewind a little bit. You talked about Kenna School, so that's a Paraparaumu school as well. So, and you said they do the Davis program. So can you explain how that sort of system works and what happens at Kenna School that also flows on to Paraparaumu College?
Well, they're very lucky in that their principal, believes in this way of learning, and they have a lady there called Janet Perry Hunter who is basically does the program full time. So she works, and they have a special dyslexia room, and she does a program. Well, she does many programs a year and the tools and the understanding of the tools is integral throughout the whole school, which is really what I'm trying to aim to do. It's a common language that is used, about, lowering your dial, releasing to reduce stress and anxiety. And she has, there are other people within the school that come. So she runs the programs, and then she has other people, over the years that have come and helped students complete their trigger words, because part of the success of the program is students, once they've had the 30-hour program one-on-one, they then need to complete the trigger words. So I guess they have a room and they have a system that helps students do that, because it's actually quite complicated and it's hard to get kids to motivate to do that at home. So, so it's an incredible, they're innovative school, really, that they've just embraced this whole different way of learning.
Oh, that's fantastic, isn't it? And the results for those kids will, just be amazing, and see them through with their literacy and their learning right the way through, especially once they transitioned into Paraparaumu College and get your support from your end too. That's amazing.
Yeah, and you can see, so I read their report from last year, and where they test their reading ages and, individual students, and, there's a huge jump in reading age for these students that have done the program. So they have real results, tangible results for individual students, and I guess that's why they believe in it, because they know it works for them.
Absolutely. Cool.
Yeah.
So what do you believe are the unique strengths of the program?
Well, I think the main strengths are it's not based on rote, repetitive, phonological awareness type learning. So I know phonics are really important, and I know that in the education system at the moment there is a big drive with structured literacy and phonics, and I agree with that. It's very, very important, but phonics does not always work for everyone. And the strength in this program is that it caters for kids that haven't coped with phonics, where phonics just does not make sense to them. And it caters for kids that are highly visual, kinesthetic learners, who just take their time to understand and have certainty with words and literacy. I was inspired by my daughter, who is very dyslexic, who's a very, very creative visual learner, and the program that she did, it's been life-changing for her, and she's such a self-aware learner, and that's the strength. If you become aware of your strength as a learner, so that you're not expecting teachers to change their method of teaching for you, but you are able to adapt and use what you've learned through the Davis program to cope in the real world. So my daughter, she was diagnosed when she was 8 or 9, and I never thought she'd even, get through pass NCA, and she's been absolutely storming, her exams. She's done really, really well, achieving all sorts of things I would never believe are possible. And it's because she had that early intervention. She's a very anxious child, and I think if she hadn't have had that support at an early age, she would be, she probably would not be at school right now. She would probably be in the depths of, depression and just not coping with life. So that's why I have this huge passion for it. Talking about success, I've got so much to say. So talking about successes, so she's got an English exam tomorrow, level 1 NCA English, and she was struggling with the concept of metaphor and simile. And she goes, Mum, I just don't understand. I've got to clay it. Right? And this is the kid that's not clayed her trigger words for 5 years, maybe. Mm-hmm. But she's like, she's so aware. She's like, I need to clay to get understanding of what a metaphor and a simile means. And that's what she's done. I was like, wow, that just shows it's not me telling her what to do. It's her recognizing what works for her.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I'm so passionate about it, because for some kids it is everything. It changes everything.
Yeah.
Not everyone.
Yeah. But how long ago did she go through the program?
So probably, before college, so 8, 9, 10, 11, when she was that age.
Okay.
She's done all of them. She's done the dyslexia, the ADHD, the concepts, the maths.
Right.
She basically loved the one-on-one counselling.
Well, it sounds like that she's obviously, it's been a system that's helped her incredibly with her learning, and obviously something that she's identified with and been able to just advance herself and apply those techniques to her own learning now. So that's a pretty amazing result.
I think a lot of it also was it's almost like therapy. If you get a good facilitator, a lot of the barriers to learning are self-esteem, and having that intense time with someone that gets you can change your mind thought, your self-belief. So I think that's a huge part of it, part of the benefit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I certainly know myself from being a facilitator too, and obviously yourself as, you can see kids come in at the beginning of the program, they've got their lip dropped and their head down and their shoulders slumped and talking very quietly, and sort of over 2 or 3 days into the program, the shoulders start to go back, the heads lift, and a smile comes on their face, and by the time they've completed the program, they've just brimming with that confidence, aren't they? So I've certainly seen that. Yeah.
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 So,
yeah.
Right. So for parents that are navigating the education system and may feel uncertain about the best path for their child, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think really just, this is not, well, if your kid is dyslexic or is having learning issues, they cannot be cured. And I think of a lot of parents, particularly ones that have money, actually think that you can just buy something that will fix your child. And, so my advice is, this can make a difference, but there are also lots of other things that can make a difference. And just being there for your child and listening and just building their self-esteem and confidence and pushing them into things that they're good at. Watching lots of YouTube videos about successful people who are dyslexic or autistic or whatever. That is, the parenting probably is the key. Mm-hmm. If you can afford a program and if you are able to put them on this program, that's awesome. And again, it may or it may not work. It's because the program really only works if the kids are wanting to make change. So as a parent, you can't make your child want to learn or be successful, but you can make them feel, you can make them feel confident about who they are as a person and whether they have the ability to learn, because ultimately everyone gets there in the end and everyone's paths are different. This may be life-changing for some people, it may not for others, so I guess just hang in there and just do the best that you can and just be there for your kids, really.
Yeah, I mean, we both do the Davis program and we know that it is very, very powerful. But like you say, it is, we can only give them the tools and take them through the processes. It is ultimately up to themselves and, with parent support to finish what we've started, really, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Yeah,
and also you can't push them into doing it because, the kids have to want to make that change. And they have to recognise that they have ability, you know.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how can they effectively advocate for their child's needs within the school system?
I guess just the main thing is keeping that communication open between teachers, you know, also being, you know, like the SENCO is normally the first point of call. So I know at college they can make sure that students have special assessment conditions. A lot of kids, by the time they get to high school, have already worked out some of their own solutions for coping with their learning needs. And often they don't need any more help, and just having extra time in an assessment or doing digital assessments and stuff is all they need. But I guess communicating with the school is the most important thing. And also don't assume that all teachers are experts in dyslexia and ADHD and autism. It's not part of the curriculum for new teachers. There is very little training that we have access to. We are not all experts, and if one teacher doesn't understand, then try another teacher, and then try another teacher, and just be aware that, you know, we're all human beings. We're all trying our best. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thanks, Naomi. It's really hard because, like you say, we're not, as teachers training does not cover us for neurodiversities, all the many neurodiversities that are out there. And so it is very difficult for a teacher in a class full of 30 kids to try and be an expert in every field. So they just are all doing their best with what they can do, for sure. So after listening to you talk this afternoon, Naomi, I'm sure many of us are reflecting on ways that we can foster a more inclusive community that embraces neurodiversity as a natural part of our daily lives. What steps do you think we can take to make this vision a reality?
Well, I think just having empathy, understanding that everyone's different, and also, as parents, you know, stop comparing your kids with other kids. Success is not always measured by a test result. Ultimately, we just want our kids to be happy in the future. I think being open to new ideas, modelling that to your own kids, modelling acceptance of others, learning about what it means to be neurodiverse. Does not, you know, so many of these kids are actually exceptionally clever, and even if they have the worst test results. And we need variety, we need diversity in our community, in our society. We need all types of learners and all types of people. We're not robots. You know, the world would be a pretty boring place if we were.
For sure it would be.
Yeah. So I guess just be you.
Absolutely. Be happy being unique. So to our community out there, your thoughts and experience matter too. So please share them, because we can make a meaningful impact together. If you have something that you'd like to share, please feel free to email me at dyslexiaunpuzzled@gmail.com, or check me out on my socials, Facebook, Dyslexia Unpuzzled, LinkedIn and Instagram, Nikki Palamountain, NIKKIPALAMOUNTAIN. Naomi, thank you for joining us today. I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I don't know where that time's gone. Unfortunately, we just have to wrap it up, but really enjoyed listening to you and having you share your experience with us down there. And well done, both Kenakena School and Paraparaumu College. I think you're sort of leaders in our community, and something we can certainly learn from.
Thank you. It's been good to share my knowledge.
Good on you. Well done. Thanks so much for listening today on Radio Hawke's Bay, 104.7 FM and 14:31 a.m. This program will replay on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock. Tell your family and friends about us or about it, and if you have a story to share about a personal journey with neurodiversity, I invite you to contact me. Thank you so much for listening this afternoon. Nikki Palamountain, Dyslexia Unpuzzled.
This is my gift. This is who I am.
This program was produced by and first broadcast on Radio Hawke's Bay, a community access media station. Thank you to New Zealand On Air for making this type of programming possible.